The penultimate episode of Mobland Season 1 increases the gang battle between the Harrigans and Stevensons, with Harry D'Souza, Tom Hardy, at the center of a web of duplicity, loyalty, and ambition. In addition to resolving some threads and adding new tensions, the episode sets up the season finale by striking a balance between high-stakes drama and character-driven moments. The episode begins with the fallout from Episode 8, in which the Stevenson family, under Richie Stevenson, is gaining power while the Harrigan family's hold on London's fentanyl trade is eroding. Harry D'Souza, the Harrigans' fixer, is juggling multiple agendas, maintaining loyalty to Conrad Harrigan, Pierce Brosnan, working with the enigmatic Kat McAllister, Janet McTeer, and navigating his own ambitions. Bella, a major player in the fentanyl deal, has fled to London in an attempt to salvage her arrangement with Antoine, which destabilizes the Harrigans' plans. Kevin Harrigan's subplot centers on his traumatic past in prison. In a confusing and polarizing scene, Kevin confronts an elderly man he identifies as his abuser from years ago. The confrontation ends with Kevin shooting the man, a moment that feels abrupt and poorly integrated into the larger narrative. Critics, e.g. Decider, commend Paddy Considine for his emotional depth, but critics the scene's execution, pointing out that it feels like a standalone vignette that has no meaningful connection to the episode's main plot. The focal point of the episode is still Harry D'Souza. He secures a short-term edge for the Harrigans by negotiating a contract with Jamie Lopez, a significant player in the fentanyl trade. When reporting to Serafina and O'Hara, he purposefully leaves out any reference to a rat in the Harrigan ranks, indicating that he is playing a long game. In a terrifying exchange with Harry, Kat McAllister, a mysterious power broker, proclaims the Harrigans irrelevant. She sows the seeds for a possible coup by pressuring him to think about seizing control of their empire. Tom Hardy's performance is lauded for its quiet intensity, with subtle gestures conveying Harry's internal conflict. Harry made a strategic choice when he allowed Conrad and Maeve to be taken into custody, see below. In order to maintain his cover as a devoted fixer and establish himself as Kat's ally, he saw their elimination as a less violent means of gaining control. A major plot point is the arrest of Conrad and Maeve, likely orchestrated by Alice, a Harrigan associate, and former Deputy Chief Inspector Tattersall, Toby Jones. Reviews suggest Alice planted evidence to frame the Harrigans, possibly under Tattersall's influence. Tattersall, now aligned with Richie Stevenson, escalates the war by killing D.S. Fisk and D.C. Mukasa, two police officers investigating the Harrigans. This move secures Tattersall's control over law enforcement channels and intensifies pressure on the Harrigans. The Harrigans' uncomfortable family supper, which serves as the episode's focal point, is meant to convey solidarity amongst their collapsing kingdom. Kevin Harrigan, Paddy Considine, and other family members attend the party, which is hosted by Conrad and Maeve Harrigan, Helen Mirren. The dinner rapidly spirals out of control. Maeve smashes a bottle in exasperation during a shouting dispute with Conrad. This sequence, which highlights Mirren's dominant presence and Brosnan's nuanced depiction of a patriarch losing control, is praised by critics for its unadulterated intensity. Deeply ingrained animosities are exposed in the argument. Conrad shifts the blame to their opponents while Maeve accuses him of putting power above family. Criticized by some, Kevin's drive for retribution about his sexual assault, which Mobland insists on presenting again in horrific detail, is out of a whole different show. This companion narrative has given Kevin more to do than anybody else in Mobland, and Considine has risen to the more intricate storyline. However, the poor handling of this plot is a bad hint to what will happen in the conclusion. Kevin confronts the man who raped him while he is incarcerated, but the sequence is handled so awkwardly that I am not even certain that this charming man from London was Kevin's attacker. The plot and tone of the scene are incredibly unclear. Kevin ends up shooting the elderly man, but it's almost played as a dark joke. I can't believe this is the end of such a traumatic saga for Kevin, though how they will find time to circle back to it in any meaningful way with just one episode. Beggars Banquet doesn't get much better toward the conclusion. Mobland has spent the entire season attempting to be this dinner scenario. It's meant to be both tense and morbidly humorous, but the characters aren't strong enough to carry that out. Harry sits at the end of the table and hardly speaks, but Tom Hardy could lead a scenario like the one they're aiming for. Many of the images don't even feature him. Rather, we concentrate on Joanne Froggatt, Conrad, Maeve, Helen Mirren, and their honored guest, Alice, Emily Barber. Jan is quiet because she is frightened, and Alice, who has been an exceptionally talented undercover agent since we first saw her, finds it difficult to maintain her disguise after being asked a single-pointed question. The only characters remaining are Maeve and Conrad, both of whom I am increasingly certain are terribly miscast. They scream, they fight, they smash bottles, they make jokes that aren't funny. It's an uncomfortable dinner, and not in the way Mobland intended. To top it all off, Maeve and Conrad reconcile as quickly as they stab each other in the throat with knives and bottles after being detained. It is a miniature version of the series. Nothing that occurs affects what occurs next. Promises and threats are forgotten.